We're midway through November, and it's time for another greenhouse tour. Most of the outside gardens are done, so for the remainder of this season and the beginning of next, we'll just be inside the greenhouse. But I'm incredibly grateful to have the greenhouse because we're in that season of the year where temperatures are fluctuating, and I'm getting down below a hard freeze at night occasionally, and then it'll be up at night again for like a week. So it is what it is. With the geothermal tubing in here, I'm able to even out some of those fluctuating temperatures inside the greenhouse. Because of those fluctuating temperatures, I also still have the auto opener windows engaged because I don't want to accidentally cook my plants. We'll start on the south bed. This side of the greenhouse gets the coldest in the winter, partly because I don't have any reflective insulation on this side because I want the sun to beat down on the beds, whereas on the north beds, I've got that reflective insulation. Helps kick back some sun and keeps the majority of the heat on the north side of the beds. So on the south side here, this was where I cleared out the black futsu squash. None of my seeds seem to have popped up from underneath there. I was hoping they would. So I emptied one of my worm bin trays and I sowed the China jade radishes. Those should be fairly cold hardy, which is good because they are right next to the door and I have a microclimate of colder temperatures about a yard in. So colder things or more frost hardy things I'm trying to plant closer to this door, which is on the east side of the greenhouse. Towards the west side, the potting bench and the seating area takes up that buffer. So that helps when I'm bearing in mind what I'm planting where. I just sowed the China jades here. I'll water them in when I'm done hanging out with you guys. And then I have some wasabi radishes, some pink mizuna, which is this beautiful color here, and some corn salad. I did spread more of the corn salad seeds as well. These are daikon radishes. Those are incredibly frost hardy. I sowed more seeds of these, so I'm going to just try to hope that that'll get my succession sowing going for that variety, and that the temperatures won't be too extreme to make these go to flower. They're fairly sensitive like that. Next, I've got some red beauty radishes. These are mostly distinguished by the fact that their stems of their leaves are very pink. On the downside, I also have some ultraviolet mustard in here that also has pink stems, but these are a little thicker stems. So red beauty radishes, ultraviolet mustard, and then this is I think it's the giant Japanese mustard, and I'm in love with this leaf coloration. Look at these. It's beautiful. Tucked underneath the mustard, I have some of my round black Spanish radishes. These are a good winter radish. I did sow more seeds of these today as well. And these are my old Tokyo greens. These old Tokyo greens have been phenomenal. It's essentially like spinach. It's very juicy. The stems are delicious, so I feel no need to de-stem them when I'm cooking with them. But I've just been taking the biggest leaves, like a handful at a time. I'll cook with those throughout the week, and by the time I'm ready to come back out for the following week, the smaller leaves are bigger now. So it's been working out pretty well. I did sow more seeds here, hoping that I can get a succession sowing if I'm a little too aggressive with pulling off the leaves, because it's really good. They're really tasty. Next, I've got these Malaga radishes here. They've been doing really well. These leaves are also edible. The radish family makes good little salad leaves. I do enjoy using them in salads. However, they can get a little bit spiny on the leaves, which is a noticeable texture, so you can cook them down as well. But as long as I'm not taking too many, I can harvest the leaves and then I get the bulb later. Next to them, I've got some of the Vulcan red chard, some cilantro, and more Vulcan red chard. So I did chard, cilantro, chard. I've got a tiger viola in here. It's supposed to be frost hardy. We'll see how he does. The flowers are edible, so that was mostly why I put him in here. Little pop of color. I've got 2 different types of radish here. They're Easter egg colors. I'm not really sure how to say their name, honestly. And I feel like it's one I could mess up super easy. I had a different type of lettuce here, but I only brought out 1 packet of lettuce to reseed. And you can see these are beginning to head up pretty nicely. So I sowed more May Queen lettuce. There's another one tucked back there. I always feel like lettuce is unexpectedly beautiful. It'll form like a little flower cluster almost. It reminds me of like a peony bulb where it's loose petals, very full, and then you eat it. It's delicious. So yeah, lettuce. Unexpected beauty in the garden. I've got 2 rows here. These should be the purple top turnips. Turnips are a cold hardy vegetable. I most commonly hear of them being used in stews. I also like to just generally roast them, and they're a good storage crop. So once I pull them out, I can store them and then use them later. And then I still have bed space. These I'm intending to leave in here, and they'll hold their own throughout the winter until I'm ready to use them. But turnips, radishes, leafy greens, as long as they are all listed as like frost hardy on the back of their packet, definitely something you want to be using in a zone 4 greenhouse, particularly if you're like me, not trying to heat it super hot. I'm not trying to grow anything tropical in here. I am just trying to maintain above freezing. These are all pretty good staples so far. Here I have more lettuce that's coming in. This should be the original sowing of that May Queen, and it is one that I also reseeded this morning before starting the garden tour. And then here I have Tokanashi turnips. I reseeded these as well, but you can see I've got these little oval leaves starting around my mini rose bush. This is just here because it's beautiful. It's a mini rose bush. It won't take up too much space. And I'm still getting beautiful little blooms on him. So then we move to the north bed, where I've got Chichimisai greens. These should be a Chinese green, followed by a Chinese cabbage. This Chinese cabbage I grew this last winter in the greenhouse. I had him in the middle of the north bed, but the cabbage flavor on these and just the light green was really stunning and delicious. So I enjoyed coming out here and taking however many leaves I needed to make like stuffed cabbage rolls. Oh, super good. I sowed more seeds for each of these types as well. This style of leaf here, you can see the coloration on the stems right here. This should be my burgundy mini broccolis. And then I have some celeriac and red celery tucked in here. You can see the red celery leaves down there. And then I've got Coeur d'Aubusson cabbage, and then this feathery leaf style is Florence fennel. I can eat the leaves and I can also eat it when it bulbs. Both of those things will be delicious. These should be more Coeur d'Aubusson cabbages. Pretty leaves. And then this, I should have Waltham 29 broccoli here. And then with this purple stem is purple kohlrabies tucked in here. They haven't started forming a head yet, but the leaves look very healthy and happy. The thing I'm having to keep an eye out for is pest pressure, because I just saw cabbage worm and then I dropped him. So I've been seeing some pest pressure on some leaves. The pest pressure I'm seeing isn't nearly as bad as I was experiencing last winter. Over by the Chinese cabbage, I found 2 slugs. I haven't seen any increase in holes in the leaves, so I've removed those. This should be the rapini broccoli here because he's flowering pretty good. I'm still gonna take that in and eat him, even though he's got some pretty yellow flowers. So I will take all of his little flower bud friends too. And then next to him, I have tiny little Marian rutabagas. I did empty another worm bin here, and I sowed more Marian rutabagas, Navone rutabagas, and then I also sowed some purple lady bok choy, as well as more purple kohlrabis. In this mess is some, I'm pretty sure, Groninger Brussels, which might be this guy back here. And then I've got white kohlrabi, some Navone yellow little seedlings here, and then I've got some tatsoi and rosette bok choy just in this corner. I've got them all interplanted, mostly because I'll eat them pretty much the same way. All of these chives I'm having just hang on until next week. We'll be making some chive rolls to go with Thanksgiving. It's gonna be really good. But I have a bunch of fresh chives, as well as dried chives, but these I'll harvest to use in those rolls. And whatever we don't use for rolls, I will just dehydrate and we can use whenever. But they're kind of spilling into the pathway. Need a haircut. Getting a little out of hand. I'll get there. It's gotten warm enough that the auto opener windows have opened. Oh yeah, so in the greenhouse it's 73. It's plenty warm. So this has been the November greenhouse tour for 2023. Thanks for coming along with me. And I'm going to harvest some leaves and greenery to bring inside and water in my new seeds that I started today. Thanks for coming along with me, and I'll catch you next time. I found some sort of insect on my mustard leaf. I don't like that. Look at him. Gross. You're gonna come with me, buddy. And then on this purple kohlrabi, I just saw a very tiny cabbage moth caterpillar. But then I dropped him. So I'm gonna try and find him again, and then I'm gonna squish him because I want to eat my food. I don't want him to eat my food.